Gia here. Welcome if you're new, and if you're already a subscriber, thanks for coming back. If you're new to my channel, I posted a financial related video every Friday and a couple different videos throughout the week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. So today on Debt Free Friday, we are talking about a family budgeting meeting or family budgeting planning and how to set one up and why to set one up. So for us, I think it's so important to have a family budgeting meeting because it's important to discuss your financial goals, to write them down, to make sure you're on track to achieve your financial goals. And it's important to just stay in tune with each other when it comes to making financial decisions. I also think it's important to get your children involved. If your children are old enough to understand what's going on, you definitely want to get them involved in making financial decisions because it's important that you teach them how to manage money. And I think the best way to teach children is through example. For us in our household, my husband is like the chairman and CEO, and I'm like the CFO. So it's important that, you know, we discuss with each other what we want, what our financial goals are, what we want to do this year. My husband, you know, he's not involved in the day-to-day budgeting, like paying the bills or monthly budgeting or reconciliation. That's all my responsibility that I do and that I love to do. And I just discuss with him what we're doing, and I make sure that he knows exactly what our plans are and that he's okay with it. So for us, we have a quarterly budgeting meeting because I budget annually and monthly all in the same spreadsheet. I talk about that in detail in my zero-based budgeting video. You can click this box here if you're interested, and I'll also insert a card. So we meet together quarterly and we just discuss any changes that may have happened. We primarily spend most of our time talking about sinking funds because that's where the majority of our cash goes to, sinking funds. We have several sinking funds. We have like over 20 sinking funds. If you're interested in how we budget for our sinking funds, you can click this box here and I'll also insert a card. So what we do is, like, these quarterly meetings, we of course discuss our financial goals, our financial plans, how close we are, if we're on the right track. We discuss any changes as needed, any kind of financial purchases that large financial purchases that we're going to be making within the year or so, and we plan that out. Sometimes we have more income that comes in. We have to decide how we're gonna allocate that. We also discuss home maintenance. That's a big one. A lot of our home plans on there because that gets really expensive, and we wanna make sure we allocate the cash correctly. So that's just what works for us, and that's what we do. And like I said, I discussed why it's so important to have these financial budget meetings. And you should really try to communicate with your spouse, because a lot of times I get like the question of, like, how do I get my spouse on board? Or people will email me and ask me, you know, how do I change my husband's mind because he's not into living a debt-free life? And you really just have to show him by example. So what I do is my husband and I both work in corporate America. We're both professionals. So I will send him a meeting invite to have our quarterly meeting. So it's on the calendar. We know exactly when it's going to be, and we come together and we discuss it. It's almost as if you are the bank of your finances. Just like you wouldn't walk into a bank and say, hey, give me a loan, and they just give you money. You know, you're financing all of your wants and desires. So you really need to discuss it back and forth with your spouse and family about why it's important, why you're doing this, what you want to do, and how you're going to do it. So, you know, just so that it makes sense to everybody. And I think, like I said, if your spouse isn't all the way on board, just sit down with this meeting with him, show him what you're doing, him or her, what you're doing, and what your plans are, and maybe that'll help to convince them a little bit more. Because like I said, having these financial meetings is what keeps you going too. You could see how far you've come. It still gives you that desire to become debt-free, and maybe it will ignite the desire in your spouse or any other family members to become debt-free as well. So like I said, for us, quarterly works well enough for us because my husband isn't into the day-to-day or monthly reconciliation like I am. But if you and your spouse kind of do things together, you may want to meet monthly monthly to discuss your goals, or even weekly if you need to. You know, it's up to you what works for your family, but you definitely, the most important thing that you can do is that you actually meet. So that's pretty much how we have our quarterly family budgeting meetings. Leave a comment down below. Let me know, do you meet with your family members and or spouse about your finances? And if you do, how often do you guys meet? And if you don't, definitely start. Try to create a plan and just sit down and meet with your spouse or your family to discuss what your financial goals are, because I think it's so important to discuss them, get them down on paper, just so that you can create actionable steps to make it to that goal. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget, leave a comment down below and let me know when you meet for your family budgeting meeting, if you do, and how often you meet. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that button down below and check my previous video here. And you can also check me out on all my social media platforms, all listed down below. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.